David got into the business in 1936, so it was right around the Depression. So I'm sure money was tight. I'm sure people who did have money were holding on to that money.
It all started in a little garage behind my grandfather's house to a building that he built, and then onto this. It's a big change.
Well, I actually went to that garage with David, and I went with Alan. They took me over there one day. As we went through the garage, there were still small cranes in there, overhead cranes, just real small, about 5 ton. And as I looked around the garage, I couldn't even believe that they worked in that area. It was just so small, and I know how large dies are.
I know started as a die shop. It was actually a machine shop, and then he got into the die business because my mom's uncle and her dad that were both in the tooling business. So my grandfather actually owned a die shop in Cleveland. They helped him get more into the die work and pursued that.
His father said, "This is yours, I'm leaving." And he went on vacation and left my husband there to fend for himself. He went from there and he just progressed and worked hard. And after we were married, he would go and work nights even, and until he could get the business on its feet.
The Bergamat, well, first he didn't call it that, he called it the water slicer. And he called it the water slicer so no one would know what we were talking about, because he was in the process of getting a patent for it.
Well, it's like a big toaster. It had the rack that went down in, the meat or whatever you wanted put in between it, went down in.
And there's a little drip pan in the bottom, and you just cook anything from bacon to cheese sandwiches, hamburgers, steaks. It's a great machine. I still use it at home.
And he marketed it, and it went nationally. I mean, they sold it, all over. So that says a lot about David. Him taking a chance, not only to be an entrepreneur, but to design a product.
I've been with coal tooling and stamping for 27 years. It's not like in a machine atmosphere where you're making the same detail over and over each day and you kind of get bored with what you do. Here it's always something different. A lot of times we seem to get the tools that other people have tried and failed trying to make parts on or get them to run, and we've had the knowledge and skill to help get that job up and running.
Well, starting back with David built quality into the die, and it's come down to his son. Alan does it the same way. Our quality systems that we have, Alan says they're world class. I agree.
We make sure we check the part and make sure that we do the same thing right every time, and our customers, they value us on how many bad parts we make in a year, and those are measured in parts per million. And if you have less than 5 parts per million, that's really, really good.
There are times that we quote, let's just say $100,000. And actually it costs $150 because we want to build that quality in so that we know long-term production, we're not going to have any problems.
My dad was the best dad ever. Any kind of emergencies, he was just always very calm about them. He said, "No, I know how to do this, we're fine." He was always teaching, on a rare occasion. One of the favorite things I used to love to do with Dad was when he would go on a business trip, on a few occasions, he would let me ride along with him. And he was always really good about pointing out things along the way in the history or the uses or, what would go on.
He was kind. He was very forgiving. He had extremely good morals.
And he was funny. My dad was very funny. One of the funniest things he did was he barked. He barked at everybody, but he particularly liked barking at my girlfriends. And he would come up behind them and he would grab the calf of their leg and bark. And they would always scream, of course, because they thought there was really some dog there. And it was hilarious. I doubt he'd barked at anybody in the business, but outside of that, we called him Doggy Daddy. I remember him being much more serious about boating. He was very, into, being safe and teaching people how to be good, safe boaters.
Well, our boating was our fondness. He joined the Mansfield Power Squadron in, I think, 1952, and he was commander, and we taught the piloting class.
They taught, fellow boaters, safety and how to be on the water, how to chart.
But then he went on to district, and then from there he went on to national. And at national, he was safety director, to where we went to different states and promoted safe boating.
I'd just gotten out of the Marine Corps, and I was probably about 22. I did some work on the summers, out at the plant, but at the time, I was an engineering major, and so, I had other ideas, but, I came back and worked and said, I could do this. I think that made it feel really great.
We were really landlocked at Ashland Road. Customers would come in, look at our facility, and just didn't think that we could handle more. So I went to Mr. Cole and had conversations with him, are we going to grow this business or are we going to wind it down? And he said, let's grow it. So we moved into this beautiful facility, 80,000 square feet. Over at Ashland Road, we had about 30 or so employees, and now we're up to 70. We were automotive and heavy truck only. When we came to this building, we picked on home improvement. So we've diversified, 33, 33, 33, which is fantastic.
Alan, sometimes people think he's got some crazy ideas, but it's the crazy idea that makes things work at times.
Sometimes you can, refurbish and it goes for a while. Sometimes you just need new stuff because there's new technology out, and things run better and smoother with the new technology stuff. So you have to invest in that. Years ago we started with sometimes just a part print and gave it to the die maker, and he pretty much built a die that would make that part. Now we design it all electronically on the computer and take those files and send them out to the machining centers and turning centers and make the parts and then pretty much assemble them.
The biggest challenge I see right now is staffing the facility. Soft skills, I'll call them. I'm actually partnering with North Central State College, trying to work with them on developing through grants, just the soft skills.
Kids today are starting to think that, I don't need a college education. I could get a skill and do really well with life. And I think we need to get back towards that, getting to think about a skilled trade in high school and not having it be thought of as a bad thing.
You can't always use the quick machine to do everything. You still have to fall back on the old skills when it comes to certain things to fix them.
You know what, everybody has their dream, and I think as you grow and you get older, your dreams change, because maybe you've attained some of your dream and there's actually more there that you can do.
I hope to see them grow even more, and they're talking about adding on to the building once we get a few more presses or whatever. So yeah, I think the company will continue to grow.
I think Alan has assembled a team underneath him that, we care about coal. And we have employees on the floor that have been here 35 years. So it says a lot about the company.
My dad would be so proud and so pleased with my brother. He would be just ecstatic.
I say, a lot of the changes I made, when he was older, it was just kind of beyond him, Those were steps that he couldn't have even conceived, so he would be impressed. He would definitely be impressed. He'd be proud.